Hello my crafty friends, this is Monica from Allsewpetite. Welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to install press lock to your project. So if this is something you would like to learn, then keep on watching. The lock that I'm going to show you in this tutorial is made out of 4 components. We have the press lock or the tongue lock, back bar with prongs, then washer, and also a couple of screws. Take both of your flap pieces and place them right sides together. Line up around all sides and then clip those 2 pieces together. Then you can take this to the machine and sew the seam around the curve. Leave the top edge as it is. We're going to use the top edge later on to turn the flap right side out. I like to leave a full seam allowance around the center just to check if I need that extra thickness when I'm installing my press lock. So I'm going to leave just this area at full seam allowance, and then later I'll be able to check if I need that bulk or not. So now you can turn the flap right side out. Then you can take this to the pressing station and press your flap nice and flat. Before I take this to the machine to top stitch my flap, I like to take my press lock and just fit the flap into that groove, just to ensure I have enough fabric. Because sometimes if you are using very lightweight fabric or not enough stabilizer, there is a lot of extra space and your press lock will be loose. So for me that looks really nice, it sits well, so I'm going to leave the full seam allowance as it is, and next I can take this to the machine and top stitch around the flap. Now we're going to install our press lock. So this is the right side of my flap and this is the right side of the press lock. So what you want to do is to feed the bottom edge of your flap into the groove, that space of your press lock. So what you need to do is to basically feed it inside, just like this. Make sure it is nice and centered. I have my center line here, so I can make sure that my press lock is centered. Push the lock to the very edge of your fabric, so you want to make sure it is nice and snug, just like this. What I like to do next is to take an awel or a seam ripper and just poke the holes where the screws will be inserted. I want to make sure that the fabric is easier to pierce. Sometimes those screws are blunt, so they don't really pierce the fabric, they just push the fabric. So by piercing the fabric with my awel, I can simply now take this tiny screw and place it inside. But before that, what I like to do is to take some glue and place it inside that screw hole, just a tiny bit, like a little drop. Here we go. Then I'm going to take my screw and a screwdriver and simply insert the screw inside that hole and twist it. Then you're going to take the other screw and repeat on the other side. So just double check if you are happy with everything, and then just tighten the screws. Here we go, just like that. To install the back plate of your press lock, first mark the placement of the press lock on the wrong side of the fabric. Then what you want to do is to take the back plate and line up the top edge of the catch bar. So this part here is the catch bar, and you want to line up that top edge along the horizontal line of that T marking. So what you want to do is to line up those two pieces, just like that. So the top edge of your catch bar and the horizontal line need to be aligned. So what I like to do is to take my washer and place it over the bar, so then I don't have to worry about trying to remember or trying to figure out which holes I need to mark. So I'll place the washer on top. Then you want to line up the top edge of the catch bar along that horizontal line. So now I know exactly where I need to position my washer. So then I can just slide it and put it in the center, just like that. And now I can take a pen and mark the position of my prongs, just like that. Then you can take a precision knife, small scissors, or seam ripper and cut the fabric through those placements. Make sure to be very careful. You don't want to cut the fabric too much. It's always best to cut those little slits slightly smaller. So what I do is to just double check if they are big enough. All looks good. So next, if you want, you can add some fray check glue along those slits if you worry about your fabric fraying. But since I stabilized my fabric, I don't really have to worry about it. So now you're going to take your back bar and from the right side of the fabric, insert the prongs through those slits, just like that. Then take your washer and place it on top. So this might be easier if you do it on the edge of the table because the catch bar is a little bit annoying at this point. I'm going to try to use my little cutting board as a leverage and then bend the prongs in opposite directions. So just take your time. If you want, you can use pliers to do that. I like to glue a small piece of fusible fleece or add a tape to protect the lining from being damaged, because once I construct my project, I'm going to have a lining here and those edges can be sometimes very sharp. So to prevent the fabric from being damaged, it's always good to cover that area. So I'm just going to use some tape. I'm going to cut it and glue it on top, just like that. Here we go, and just like that you have installed your press lock. So now you can finish your project.